Welcome to the Starting Nowhere podcast. I'm your host, Brandon. Do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button so you can see more Starting Nowhere. Today, my guest is Blake Sweet. Blake is a stand-up comedian who got started in Montana right before the pandemic started. We're going to talk about how it's been operating in this environment and what he hopes for the future. Please enjoy today's episode. So thanks for joining me tonight, Blake. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and why you're here?
Hi, guys. I'm Blake Sweet. I'm a stand-up comic, a voice actor, sketch writer, and podcaster myself. And I'm here today to talk about a little bit about my journey getting started in comedy right at the onset of the pandemic and tell everybody about my podcast that's finally starting to actually gain a little bit of traction.
So it sounds like you just basically a jack of all trades when it comes to things laugh-wise. Anything that deals with laughs, you want in, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I can make some people laugh, I'm happy.
So I want to get existential for a second, like right off the bat. Let's dive right into the meat of this. Do you think that your desire to make people laugh is ego-driven? Like you love that feedback loop and it makes you feel powerful? Or what's the word? Sorry, I'm losing all track of my words now. But you like pleasing people driven, or just something that you found that you were good at and you're trying to lean into? What do you think is behind that?
Oh wow, throwing haymakers early.
Yeah, I told you we're diving right in.
All right. I guess a little bit of all three. For me, comedy is a lot about I have a lot of social anxiety, especially growing up. I had a real problem with it, public speaking, meeting new people, all that. And so at some point in my life, it started to click that the things I had to say were at least funny. And so the next step really was, especially being a stand-up fan, was actually going out and trying it and seeing how funny I really am. And so that's a big part of it for me, is every time I do a set, especially if it's good, but even if I bomb, it's an incredible feeling knowing that I got up on stage and I actually delivered a set in front of anywhere from like 4 to 40 people, depending on where I'm actually performing. Yeah, and it's just one of those things. I don't really know how to explain it other than it is kind of a triumph over that social anxiety.
Well, I think that's one of the things that I've seen about comedy, whether people do it professionally or just the guy at the office who tells a joke, or even the way that I do it myself. I think a lot of it comes from some kind of coping mechanism for something that we've developed in our life or something we've dealt with in our life or something like that. And that's why you see a lot of comics who are like clinically depressed and like all these other things and stuff like that too, because comedy can exist naturally. Obviously, we like to laugh and those type of things as well. But I'll point the spotlight at myself for a second. When my joking nature came from two things, largely, I would say. One is getting bullied and stuff like that, trying to joke to keep the bully happy so he doesn't bully you and that type of stuff. And then two, also, it's the only way that I know how to show affection, or let me say I used to. I've gotten better at this only through focusing on it directly, but that was the only way I used to do affection. And it's still my primary means. So if I meet somebody new, my immediate reaction to try to like show them that I like them is to start talking shit. Like immediately want to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know that it doesn't land well with a lot of people. So like I have to really watch myself. I do it at work all the time. And I have to feel out who can take it and who can or whatever. But there's a lot of times where I just meet somebody and I'm like, hey, my name's Blake Sweet. I'm like, oh, sweet boy. That's nice. Just dive in on something so like just as stupid as that or whatever. That's just like how I show like any level of affection in the beginning until I get comfortable. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of comedy just comes from coping mechanisms and broken people, which I think is a beautiful way to turn broken people into pure joy for other people,
Oh, absolutely. And can I just say, I'm really happy that your immediate go-to wasn't to call me Balake.
No. Look, I'm mixed already, so I get the Key and Peele aura, so I have to make sure that I stay somewhat authentic or at least original, you know. So no, it's not Balake, Aaron. Now, if your name was Aaron Blake, there's no way I couldn't have done that. You can't put those two back to back like that.
Oh, of course.
So do people actually call you that like pretty regularly?
Oh, all the time. People who you wouldn't even think watch Key and Peele will just like out of the blue, oh, Balake.
Oh,
It's gotten that big.
The thing that I admire about us as a population, but I also hate about us as a population, is how readily we do things like that. Like Dave Chappelle has a joke he tells about it, which I imagine is true as well, that he had to tell people to stop coming up to him and saying, "I'm Rick James, bitch." He's like, "Hey, can you not call me a bitch in front of my son?" He's like, it's just like people do stuff like that. And, or one of my favorites is Mila Kunis, right? Mila Kunis, very wealthy, very attractive, very just like sought after person. But because she plays a random cartoon character, what fans will run up to her and say is, "Shut up, Meg." They do it all the time. So, and it's just great. It's a great power balancing move because, you know, there's not too often that you see like an A-list. I don't know if I'd say A-list. I guess she's pretty high up there. I don't know how you determine those things, but a high-end celebrity anyways, who is also like attractive and wealthy and they got all these things going for you, but people just like to tell her to shut up. And it's great.
Oh yeah. And I can't imagine that's all that fun. That's the thing that everybody knows you as, is Meg, the kind of frumpy joke character and Family Guy.
I mean, it's got to be fun on some days, but then like just think about it, right? We've all had bad days. You wake up, you spill your coffee, you're running late for work, whatever it is, like, and then somebody you leave your door and somebody goes, "Shut up, Meg." Like, "Fuck you, dude. I will kill you." And then now you're in a road rage incident on TMZ, and it's all kinds of problems.
See, that's the one thing. I at least don't have to worry about the paparazzi when I go off on somebody for calling me Balake.
Not yet, but that's what I'm saying. If the right person records it and you're funny enough and you're going off on them, or B, later on in your stand-up career or your podcast takes off, whichever, or both, now you are famous and they're going to do it because they're going to potentially they'll hear this and they'll hear how it bothers you sometimes and you're like, "Oh, we're going in on that. We're going to eat this dude alive."
It's very optimistic for you to think that people don't already just go in on it anyway.
Yeah, but
there's not a whole lot of jokes you can come up with for a guy named Blake, I guess.
Well, I mean, I guess the thing is, like, how often are you getting it right now? Probably like once a day in a week that's like really high level or something like that. But if you're famous, oh man, it's once every 2-3 hours or something like that, you know?
Yeah, no, it's at least, thankfully, finally, it's been what, like 7-8 years since that thing came out. People are finally moving away from it.
Well, not now. Now that
now that I talk about it on here, it's
so, and that's the thing for me, is that my name is not famous for any particular sketch. But if you watch any show, any movie or anything like that, anybody who's named Brandon, it's a punchline name. Even though the name isn't the punchline, it's always some ridiculous character. It's never the hero of the story. It's never anything good. They do it all the time. There's a scene in Scary Movie. Did you watch the first Scary Movie?
Oh God, it's been forever, but yeah.
Well, I mean, you should forget it because it's a good look. Let me be clear: it's a funny movie, but it's one of those throwaway funny movies, right? You're not going to quote it for the rest of your life. But there's a part where Sean Wayne's character, who is supposed to be in the closet and keeps doing like obviously or ambiguously homosexual things, and he's like, "Hey, yeah," he's telling his girlfriend, "Put on the football helmet, the pads and stuff like that or whatever." And then when he starts banging her and pretending she's the quarterback on his team, he says, "Take it, Brandon." I'm like, God damn it. Every time. And that's what I'm talking about. Oh, Brandon's not the butt of the joke, but literally Brandon is the butt of that joke. So outside of you getting made fun of for your name and everything, what else, like what has your experience with stand-up comedy been like? Particularly like you said before, I think we got on the air, maybe even a few minutes ago, since the pandemic has been going on, because there's not been a lot of standing up going on over the past year. So I'm just wondering how your timing could not be worse, for one, which a comedian needs good timing. I think you know that, but it was just, how has this been for you, and what ultimately led you to wanting to get up on that stage other than defeating your anxiety?
So actually at the time when I decided to try it, I had been really getting into stand-up. I mean, I've always enjoyed it. You know, I was the kind of person, whenever one of the big A-list comics would put out a Netflix special, I'd go and watch it and have a fun hour. But yeah, like 2018, 2019 is when I really started doing deep dives into it, listening to lesser known comics and, you know, starting to be more aware of the actual comedy club scene and not just what you see on Netflix. And in January of 2020, I had taken a job in collections.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure if you or your listeners know, but it is very depressing to work in collections. I mean, my days consisted of calling 80 to 100 people and trying to wrestle money out of them when, you know, they could barely pay their rent. And so I needed some kind of positive outlet. And being a comedy fan, when I heard that there was some little dive bar in the town in Montana I was living in that does a comedy night every couple weeks, I had to go.
Wait.
And
I have to jump in there.
Oh, sorry.
So you're starting stand-up comedy right before a pandemic, and then you're starting stand-up comedy in Montana, of all places?
Yes.
Jesus Christ, you're making it hard on yourself, dude.
Right? I'm living in California now. I was born and raised in the Bay Area and moved out here back in June. And it's been nice, even though it's not like any comedy clubs are open.
Mm.
Even just the virtual comedy scene has gotten a lot bigger for me. But yeah, up in Montana, literally the whole comedy scene was this dive bar that I think twice a month was doing an open mic night. And I started going to it just thinking, you know, yeah, I'm gonna go watch, get some laughs. And the very first show I was in, we were getting towards the end, and I was like, you know what, I could probably be funnier than most of these people. And so I went up to the host, asked if I could be added to the list. Ended up actually or accidentally headlining my first open mic.
Nice.
But yeah, and it was from the moment I grabbed that microphone and got my first laugh, that was when I knew that this is something that I needed to pursue. It wasn't so much a want as it was like, this is what I need to be doing.
It's like a compulsion.
Right.
You know, so the equivalent for like Ed Gein to want to make a chair out of human skin. You didn't have to, excuse me, you had to make the laugh. You know, you could not do it. Or could not do it. I don't know. That's like a triple negative. I don't know what the hell I'm doing right now.
Yeah, it was because there was something very cathartic, I guess, especially like I said, I was going through a difficult time adjusting to a job where, you know, I'm the guy that works for the loan shark that's making you pay up. And so it was nice to actually make people smile for a change.
So you remember that joke, that first joke that made the random person in Montana laugh? Because first of all, I just got to say again, and this is, if anybody in Montana hears this, they'll probably either laugh at it or they're going to be pissed, but I don't know. But like, I'm just imagining a Montana laugh. That like has to feel really good. Like LA, they fake laugh all the damn time, or the Bay Area, anywhere in California, really. I'm in Florida, so I'm not, you know, trying to downplay that. They fake laugh all the time. But in Montana, if you get a laugh in Montana, that's a laugh. That's like a real legit laugh. And it's probably from like the gut.
Oh yeah, definitely belly laughs from all four people that were there.
That's a packed house, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Place was at capacity. Oh, they're all gonna hate me if they hear this.
But do you remember that joke? Do you remember what that joke was?
Yeah. So I ended up getting up there and I told a story about when I worked at a gas station in college. And the whole point of the joke was I had a nemesis when I worked at the gas station. He was like my Newman. I don't know if you watch Seinfeld.
No, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Newman.
So every now and again, this guy would come in and steal from us. But the thing that always blew me away was this guy, like, clearly knew what he was doing too. Like, I'd argue he was probably a professional at some point. He knew where all of our cameras were. He knew when my rush was and just the perfect time to come in every time. So he'd have his face hidden. He'd go back into our beer cooler, grab a 12-pack of Bud Light, and then go wait in line until I was distracted and bolt out the door. And I mean, this guy even had a getaway driver.
What?
Yeah, right? This was just the most insane thing I had actually seen working at this gas station. And this happened every now and again. It was just some little mom and pop gas station, and I swear it was the only place he ever hit.
It's super weird.
Right. And to some degree, I'm kind of impressed. I mean, he put a lot of effort into it and he pulled it off. So props to him, I guess. But I can't imagine all that effort being worth $12 worth of beer.
No, not beer. Bud Light. Bud Light is not beer.
Oh yeah. Well, and if he's stealing a 12-pack and he's got a getaway driver, he's not even getting 12 beers out of the deal.
Exactly.
And I mean, I don't know about you, but I cannot remember the last time that I felt drunk drinking half a 12-pack of Bud Light.
I can.
I don't know if there was ever a time.
I can. I can tell you the last time that I got drunk drinking about half a 12-pack of Bud Light would have been coming back from like deployment. You know what I mean? You haven't had a drink in like, depending on how long you've been gone, 6 to 8 months or whatever else it is, and you get that first Bud Light or whatever else it is, and you're like, well, oh man, tonight's not going to go well. It's going to be a long night for sure. And it was. So.
Oh, I could imagine.
But that's insane to me. Like you said, that this dude is doing all this planning. He's doing all these things. He has a getaway driver. He's doing like just for a 12-pack of Bud Light. Like, again, kids, if you're listening to this, first of all, don't fucking listen to this, but don't steal. But if you're gonna steal a 12-pack, come on, like do something a little bit more grand. You're getting away with it repeatedly. Why are you stopping at the 12-pack? Like, but I mean, that's exactly why he's getting away with it. The guy's a genius. He knows his limits, and that's crazy. You don't have the wherewithal to not steal, but you have the self-control to only steal this much. It's like he knows the laws and he's trying to like stay under some threshold. It's crazy. This is mind-boggling. I want to start a documentary on this now.
Right? You'd think a 12-pack of Bud Light and a 30-pack of Budweiser is the difference between prison or something.
Yeah.
But what really blew me away about the whole thing was there was a Radio Shack a block away. Dude could have, with that level of effort, dude could have gone, stolen a TV, pawned it at the pawn shop literally next door to the Radio Shack. Yeah. And then just come and bought beer.
Yeah, but you can't drink a TV. So he has to use his ill-gotten gains. He won't resell. He's like, I have to use it. I just now see this is what I'm doing. I'm gonna turn this whole thing into a true crime podcast now and just like talk about how this guy was like the most ethical thief. Like he had all these principles and rules he's following, and that's what allowed him to continue. He's probably still, does that gas station still exist, do you think?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's still there.
So he's probably still hitting it. Like he's still guaranteed. Like that's crazy. I'm
convinced the guy had an inside man too, because it seemed like he was only picking on me because I was the new guy.
That's
and so nuts. I bet you every time he hears there's a new guy working the night shift. All right, time for another heist.
And I like that he calls it heist, by the way. So he's back in like his garage with like you know how they do it with the map and like all those strings.
Oh yeah, he's got the blueprints. He's got some killer music going on because of course every heist movie has the best soundtrack.
Absolutely. Dude.
I got to imagine there was like some cool moment between him and his getaway driver when he recruited him for the job.
You know what? What if we like you find out it's not even a getaway driver? The dude didn't know he was stealing it this whole time. He thought he was just buying it. Because just like you, he's like, it's $12. Of course he's buying it. Like, yeah, go in. Like he's just the guy who drives him. And he has no idea what's going on. And he's an accessory to like 30 thefts or whatever.
Oh God. That's almost worse.
But it's hilarious because that would be me because I'm like, he's been stealing. I'm like, steal, what'd you steal? And they're like, oh, a 12-pack. A goddamn 12-pack? We're getting pulled over by the cops and possibly going to jail for a 12-pack, Bob. Jesus Christ.
Actually, you got a point. If you told them beforehand, it might have been a liability.
It's definitely a liability. I'm like, dude, take the $10, whatever the hell it is, and buy the 12-pack, you cheap son of a bitch. It's ridiculous. I like it though.
I mean,
Like,
if you're resorting to stealing Bud Light, I mean, is that really the worst of your financial problems at that point either?
no, in my head, this guy's a thrill. He's doing it for the thrill. He's like those soccer moms who are on pills who just steal like $5 knickknacks just for the thrill of getting caught or whatever. That's what this guy. He has to be. This is insane.
Yeah, you make a fair point.
That's what I'm going with. That's my theory. I want to start like a whole, to what's that show called? How the Avery guy and everything. In Wisconsin or whatever, who like something murderer, right? Making a murderer. I don't remember.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that I'm gonna start a documentary series based upon this one guy, and we're all gonna figure it out. And then I'm gonna interview him, and he's like, "What?" It's like, "I just like beer." And that's the whole story. Like, well, you just ruined this shit.
That's probably all it is too, because Bud Light's considered good beer up there too.
Dude, that's so depressing to me.
Like, right?
So because here's let's go stereotypical again for a second, right? Montana. You picture a man in Montana. That's like the cowboy lighting a match on his cheek, doing like all this hardcore, hyper masculine shit. And then you've got a hipster who is like very, very soft and hasn't worked a day in his life and everything like that. And he drinks more manly beers. Again, stereotypically, he drinks more manly beer than a dude in Montana who's drinking Bud Light. I'm a simple man. I like simple beer. That's all I need. It's goddamn water. I make fun of my mom. My mom drinks Bud Light, and so when she comes over to visit, I'll buy her some. And she was like, "Hey, can I get a water, please?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I got." And I bring her the Bud Light because she knows I don't respect it. I don't take it seriously.
I mean, to be fair, those manly Montana men probably drink a lot more Bud Light than I drink craft beer. So
true.
I'll give them that.
That is fair, but it's like it's just economically a bad choice. If you're drinking 30 of these things, maybe have one shot of whiskey or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing? This is killing me. But that's man. So just going back now, we went way off on a tangent on this guy because I'm super interested in this story. But so
was I. That's why I told
it. going back to your stand-up and everything like that, do you think that the way you approach stand-up has changed the way or the trajectory of your career, and also is it kind of what led you to the podcast?
The stand-up and the podcast kind of happened independently of each other. Around the same time I was getting ready to start doing stand-up, my cousin Matt and his best friend Mikey actually came to me with this idea for a podcast. And they knew that just the two of them weren't going to be able to make it work, so they brought me on. And for a long time, it was really just me doing all the boring legal and business stuff while they had fun setting up the studio and writing content. And that was probably the biggest kick in the pants to move back to California. Damn it, I want to have fun with this too.
Yeah, I mean, recording podcasts and doing sketch comedy in general is fun, even if you're doing it for like nobody,
Oh yeah.
Because my whole claim to fame, if you will, or anything like that, is that I went to an art school for middle and high school, and then I've done like improv classes and stuff like that. Like, so I always have fun doing it, even though, again, like you said, there's like 2 people watching you, and sometimes there's nobody watching. You're doing it, and I'm making myself laugh, and that's enough for me. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I'm still convinced because we're still not getting a ton of downloads, but I'm convinced we make up like 70% of them.
Hey, that's the only way to get good at your craft is to listen to yourself. Like, that's one of the things I had to get over doing this or doing anything. And like stand-up comedy is a perfect example of that too. You have to get used to listening to your own voice and then at some point appreciating your own voice. You know what I mean? It gets really weird because most people hate their voice, and I'm included, or I was included. Now I fucking love it. You can tell by how much I talk.
Oh yeah. Honestly, for me, even more so than stand-up, it took sitting down and editing podcasts that I was starring in. Because I mean, especially with sketch comedy, I was telling you before we started recording, it's a lot less like a regular podcast where you have a few people having a conversation and you kind of edit out the ums and the uhs and the dead space. We approached it more like recording a cartoon where you get every actor into the studio individually and they run through every line multiple takes, and then you as the editor have to sit down, go through every single take, and find which one fits best into the actual script. And God, especially with the three of us who have no experience whatsoever before we started this, it can be rough listening through all that.
But now you've got content to release, like a behind the scenes thing when you make it famous, because this is business 101, right? Or like Gary Vee does this stuff all the time, and he talks about it. Gary Vee has a guy following him like from when he starts his day to like the end of the day, and the only reason he does that so he can repurpose it for like behind the scenes footage or move it over here and doing that type of stuff. So all the stuff you guys have, and when this makes through to the next level, you just release a little vignette or whatever behind the scenes, like, oh, here's Blake recording some lines, and here's the other guys and stuff like that, and boom, you got another piece of content to make some money off of.
Oh yeah, we've got a whole blooper reel going at this point.
Yeah, it's like the equivalent of making like soup stock with the bones from shit you're about to throw away anyways, right? keep it useful. But so sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you'd be amazed with how many bloopers you can get when every character takes 4-6 hours on their own to record.
Jesus. You guys ever record together?
Yeah, so at least two of us are always in the booth, because you have to have somebody running the board and directing while you have another person on mic.
Let me be more specific with my question. I mean, do you ever have like a back and forth recording, like where you're both doing lines at the same time, or do you strictly only do the lines individually?
Oh, it's strictly individually. Okay. And at this point, I'm not sure if it's just that we only had enough in our budget for one microphone, or or if it's just easier to manage. But I'm going to go with the one that makes it sound more professional, that it's easier to manage.
Hey, like I said, there's a lot of different groups of people that I've seen do that. Rick and Morty, they do that a lot of the time, pretty much all the time. You know, but what's great about Rick and Morty, and I'm hoping you do this, if you don't, you should start, is the method acting. And by method acting, I of course mean that Justin Roiland gets drunk when he's doing Drunk Rick. So he's just in the booth. He's in the booth hammered trying to read these lines.
Oh yeah, it's actually it's funny you bring that up, because we I guess by the time this comes out, the episode will already be out, but we recorded one of our episodes where we do have a drunk character, and my cousin Matt was playing him, and so we were just throughout the course of the night feeding him drinks, just one bourbon after another, and it came out really good. He really pulled off the hammered, slurring his words.
So have you been drunk with you said Matt, right? Have you been drunk with him before?
Oh yeah.
I mean, so in your opinion, was that just drunk Matt and he was just doing himself, or was he like actually like acting?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay. Some embellishment.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, he really dialed especially the slurred speech up to 11.
See, that's the one thing I can't do, because I have a speech impediment. So if I slur, it's not going anywhere good. You're like, what the hell are you even saying? You're not drunk. I think you might just have a Bell's palsy or something like that. I don't know what the hell's going on with your mouth.
Oh.
So for those who don't know, by the way, because I always forget this, but it's one of my favorite things to say, is Bell's palsy is something, I don't even think they know why it happens, but it's just like half of your face goes numb and starts to droop, almost like you had a stroke or something, but it's not, and it just kind of goes away. So it's super weird. It's a super weird occurrence, and it can last for a few days, I think, or something. I don't, again, I know very little about it, but I just know about it in general. I'm like, I have to be honest. I kind of hope it happens to me at one point, because I just want to walk around and freak people out. You know, just like have somebody, like, it has to be somebody who knows me, right? It can't just be a stranger who's turning around like, oh, this guy's face. And I want it to be somebody who knows me. And they're like, hey, Brandon. And I turn around and it's like, oh, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What happened?
I mean, I guess you could go get a root canal.
No, I see. Here's the thing. This is a story I always tell people. Like, I want a facial scar, but I'm not gonna give it to myself. Like, it has to happen organically. If it's not organic, then I don't want it. You know what I mean? Like, it has to just come about. Like, I just have to get something that's horribly disfiguring, and then I get to spring it on people. And I will milk that sympathy hard. I am going to be one of those people. Absolutely. You're not gonna let me go to a restaurant and not let me sit first. There's no fucking way. I'm gonna milk that all day.
Right? Everybody's gonna hold their door open for you.
Absolutely.
You're
Yeah.
gonna get to cut in the front of the line at Disneyland if we ever get to go to Disneyland again.
Exactly. And no matter what it is, I'm gonna be limping. Like no matter what the problem actually is, it's gonna come with a limp. Like, dude, what is wrong with you? Like you said, you got a root canal. Oh, it's my leg. It's connected. The root was really deep. It's connected to my patella. Like it's all fucked up now. That's the way you do it, man. I'm just trying to get the handicap placard. I want to park wherever the fuck I want.
God, wouldn't that be nice?
I mean, again, the trade-off is your handicap. So like everything has balances, right? So I mean, again, just depends upon what the particular impediment that you have is.
I guess it depends on how hard it is to find parking where you live.
Well, like I said, I don't know if I told you this before or not, but I live in Miami, so I don't really ever drive anyways. Like to the point I'm considering getting rid of my car. So it'd be completely useless, but that would be exactly how my life would go, right? I'd get it when I don't need it. And as soon as I go to move somewhere where I'm gonna need it again, my physical therapy works and I no longer handicap or anything like that. I'm like, that'd be exactly how my life would go. And I'd appreciate it. I'd appreciate the director of this whole thing going, yeah, fuck you. That's what you get. It'd be fun. So the podcast, how many episodes do you have now?
So we just put out, I want to say it was either episode 5 or 6. We our first 2 or 3, we were just kind of putting them out as we finished them. And then at the tail end of 2020, we finally decided, like, if we're actually going to be doing this, we need to take it seriously. We need to have a release date that people can rely on. So right now we're doing monthly releases.
Nice. And what, like the second Wednesday of the month? Or like when's your release date?
It'll be the first Monday of every month.
Nice. Okay. So what are some of the sketches
Figure
you've
we'll
done?
give people a.
So sorry, what'd you say?
I was just gonna say, I figure we'll give people something to look forward to at the start of the week.
Yeah. Well, one
Hopefully
week out of the
people
month,
actually look forward to it.
Yeah, like the other 3 weeks you're on your own. You're like, you get one good Monday out of every month, and that's it. That's all we can afford.
Well, we're just really hoping that one Monday is good enough to get you through the rest of the Mondays.
There's no way that's true. There's no way. If people are that easily pleased, life would be utopia.
God, Mondays wouldn't be a problem at that point.
I honestly don't mind Mondays, and this shows you how old I'm getting, right? I don't mind Mondays, not because Mondays don't suck or whatever. It's just because a lot of the good shows come on Sundays. So it simultaneously shows you how old I'm getting and how immature I am, because I wouldn't watch Simpsons and Family Guy and Bob's Burgers, and they all come on Sunday. Last week tonight, like all that comes on Sunday, and then so I don't have cable. My girlfriend has Hulu, so what we'll do is Monday night we get dinner and we knock out like 4 to 5 shows, and it's freaking great. So Mondays are awesome for that very reason.
Yeah, no, I especially during COVID, I've got a whole new lease on Mondays because I have a day job and we're an essential business because we sell medical electronics. That's one of our main products that we carry. So I get to come into the office. So Monday is always my, like, oh, I actually get to leave the house and go somewhere for a change.
Yeah, but leaving the house is overrated, isn't it? I mean, there's people outside. That's where all the people are. You don't need that in your life.
Well, this is why I just go straight to work and straight back. I don't need to go socialize. I just need to go not be at home for a day.
Yeah. So how does that work? Like with your job, and then stand-up comedy is usually a pretty late night thing. So like, how are you balancing those things? Like you said, obviously the pandemic's affected that some, but how will you balance those things when it goes back to a new normal or whatever?
Well, I am lucky enough right now that a lot of the work that I do both with stand-up and with the podcast, we revolve it around weekends. But yeah, once all this is over and I really have no excuse to not go out on weeknights and perform anymore, I think it really is more than anything, I think it's just going to be a matter of I have to cope with getting tired at work.
Fair.
I can't really see any other way around it than that.
Yeah, until you get your first like road gig, and then you're like, because I've listened to, just like yourself. I am pretty interested in comics as well as the comedy they do, and so I've heard some of those stories. I think it's John Mulaney, or I forget who it is, but they're talking about like driving from New York or whatever to some random college they were doing in some small part of one of the states near them, and then having to drive back, and all around it's like a 6 hour trip. They get back at like 2, 3 in the morning and everything, and then they have work the next day. And you're like, Jesus Christ. You're like, no, thank you. I don't want to do that at all.
Yeah, no, I honestly don't know how I did it in college with all nighters I pulled.
Well,
Because I mean,
college is a different thing. That's completely
oh yeah,
different.
but yeah, I mean, like if I'm in bed by 10, I'm already missing my first alarm in the morning.
I'm pretty sure that my college behavior took a couple years off my life. I used to, so when I went to college the first time, I was there for like a summer, doing like a accelerated Spanish course, because Spanish. I don't know why that was the first thing I decided to take in college, but it did. And so I only had class like 2 days a week or something. I don't remember what it was, but I would stay up for 18 hours. No, excuse me, 18 hours. That's not a lot. I would stay up for 36 hours straight and then sleep for 18 hours. And that was like my schedule. And I was like, looking back, I'm like, why? First of all, because this is 2003. So this is when the internet is 56K modems. Like you're trying to load a picture or anything you're loading, it's a boom, boom. And I didn't have a computer. So I'm in like in our dorms, I had like that little at the end of the hallway, just looking up. And all I'm doing is like reading forums and like all this stuff or whatever for 12 hours straight. And no reason. Eating a corn dog because I didn't have any money, and stuff like that. And then go to sleep. And like I said, sleep for 18 hours. It can't be healthy. That has to have caused some really irreparable damage.
Oh, probably. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but that sounds worse than if you were spending like 12 hours at a time just watching porn. So at least back then, that's one video.
But to be clear, with 56K modems, you're not spending 12 hours watching. You might be spending 12 hours loading, but that's about it. Right. You're not getting through 12 hours.
Right. Exactly. That was what I was getting at.
And to make, like I said, to make matters worse, I didn't have my own computer, so I would have been like a public space, just hanging out doing this. I'm like somebody behind me trying to like print out a paper they have doing. I'm like, hey, what's going on? No, it's terrible.
Is that not what people did before home computers became a thing?
Oh no! Before home computers became a thing, you found what you could. Victoria's Secret catalogs were a lot more popular back then.
That's actually one of my favorite comics is Dan Soder. That's one of my favorite jokes of his is he doesn't trust anybody who was born after the internet came out because they never had to work for a jerk.
I don't know. Like the internet has been a great equalizer in a lot of different ways. And what the thing that's interesting to me, and I'm not a parent. I have no intention of being a parent to the best of my knowledge. So I don't have to deal with this, but I'm like, how I can only see from my 13-year-old brain perspective. And if I had access to the internet, that's all I would do. Like, I don't know how parents deal with their children and pretend, because you're only pretending. You cannot stop your children from seeing adult content these days. Like back in my day, I had to hope that my uncle's subscription came to our house by accident, or I got it before he did. I'm like, oh, I didn't see it. I never got delivered. Like there was a lot of risk involved. There's a lot of tangible evidence left behind and like all this stuff. Like there was no way to get, like you have a phone, a computer, like you have a million different devices in your house connected to internet, and every single one of them can get some adult content. So like, I don't know how parents can pretend like their kids aren't just watching it constantly.
Oh yeah. I mean, shit, I could be watching porn right now. You don't know.
I feel like I would know, unless again, we've already talked about one, you have a compulsion to do comedy. You're starting to set off a lot of serial killer vibes here. I'm seeing you starring in the next season of what's that show? You? Yeah. Because I feel like that's what a serial killer would do. Again, it goes back to that guy who's stealing for the thrill. You're just watching. You're not even sexually aroused. You're just watching it for the thrill. Like this guy doesn't know. He has no idea what's going on the other side of the screen.
God, I wish I was that crazy sometimes.
I don't know.
I might have a more fun home life.
Well, fun's a strong word. You'd have a lot more risky home life, I imagine. Well, like we'd be in the middle of this podcast interview right now, and that window right there, it would be like actually a closet, and you'd feel like they hear somebody hitting the door. I'm like, hey, what's that? What's that sound? Like, nothing. You didn't see anything. I'm like, what's your address again? You're like, Jesus Christ, no. Because that's how it has to be. Like, I feel like that keeping that thing below the surface has got to be 90% of what us being a serial killer is about. It's just keeping that veil. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, you're sure, like you don't know.
Oh, he's on to me. Damn it.
Yeah, this is a terrible decision for you. But luckily, nobody watches the podcast, so.
Maybe this is why serial killers don't do podcasts.
Well, so, all right, this is going to get super nerdy for a second, but I'm into this theme now. If we think about it, as many podcasts exist and as many people who are serial killers that haven't been caught, there has to be serial killers doing podcasts, either as the content creator or as a guest. And we just don't know about it. So when it's going to inevitably, I think it's going to happen. Somebody's going to get caught, and then there's going to be the episodes of the podcast they're on, and whoever's podcast it is going to shoot through the roof. Because I'm listening for sure. I want to hear what this crazy dude is doing before this.
Well, that's just like, did you ever see the documentary "Don't Fuck with Cats"?
Yes, I did. Yeah, that's a great one, man. That's awesome.
Oh, that's exactly what my mind jumped to the moment you mentioned that. Like, you know what? I guess people are out there doing weird shit on the internet.
Yeah, that story in general was nuts. And like that dude was just asking to get caught left and right. I don't know what he was thinking.
Oh yeah.
But he's insane.
And yet somehow it came down to a bunch of cat people on the internet to actually catch him.
Well, that's where he started. Like, so he started with what did he put him like in a vacuum bag, I think it was, and like suck the air out to like kill that cat. And so he started with the animal abuse, which again, just shows you how weird our people are on the internet or just in general, because you can show yourself murdering somebody on the line and we'll be like, whatever. But if you show yourself murdering an animal, people are like, no, this guy, we have to find him. We're going to kill him. We're going to do everything we can to stop him. You know what I mean? And so he just started backwards. He should have like worked his way down. Like he killed a person first and they're like, oh, well, whatever. We didn't know that guy. And then he'd come back and be like, fuck you. You killed an animal. We're coming for you. Like PETA gets involved, everybody, you know?
Oh yeah. It's almost like you got to do the whole serial killer progression backwards.
Yeah.
You got to start killing people on camera first. Then you got to start wetting the bed and starting small fires. Then you graduate to killing animals.
That's the new serial killer. That's the millennial serial killer. You have to do everything backwards. But and so that's what I was thinking when you were saying that before, is that that's our William H. Gacy story, right? Well, like everybody loves to talk about how William H. Gacy used to dress up like a clown, like and do birthday parties or whatever. What? Oh yeah, I always do that. I always do that. William H. Macy is an actor. I always do that. That's freaking hilarious. Sorry about that, William H. Macy. You're great.
Although to be fair, I feel like William H. Macy would probably play an awesome serial killer.
True. It is very, very true. He has to have played one at one time. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure.
So yes, John Wayne Gacy. He always dressed up like a clown, or didn't always, but dressed up like a clown sometimes. So that's our version is going to be like he was doing all these podcasts, and like that's going to be the guy. It's going to be somebody like I forget the dude's name, but he does like How I Built This. It's like an entrepreneurial podcast. Like it's going to be him because he has like that really like podcasty voice and stuff. And they're like the whole time he's murdering people while interviewing the guests.
I don't know. I suspect what's her name? The host of Serial.
Oh, I'm familiar with what you're talking about, but I don't listen to it, so I don't know her name at all. Dude,
yeah, I don't have that obsession with like the true crime stuff. So everybody's all obsessed with Serial, and it's like, all right, I'm still gonna not listen to it.
Well, my girlfriend loves those the true crime stuff or whatever, but for me, man, like those bore me because it's always like a handful of things. They got emotional, did something stupid. They're super selfish and just wanted to do it or whatever, or they were trying to cover something up. Like it's always one of those very reasons. Oh, yeah. I'm like, people are boring. Like that's why I like fiction serial killers, because they're far more interesting. You know what I mean? Like I'm waiting for them to feel like, where's the next Zodiac killer or something like that or whatever. And again, for anybody who's listening or happens to know somebody who was murdered by one of these people, I'm sorry for the crass nature in which we're discussing somebody who murdered your family. But like, that's the things that we're looking at is like, real killing is, generally speaking, emotional. It's crimes of passion or something like that. It's boring as crap. I don't care that this guy was mad that he was getting separated from his wife, so he killed himself and his kid or whatever. Like, that's, again, that story happens every day. If I'm watching serial killers, I want somebody who's like, you know, Ed Gein, like those type of things. We don't have those anymore. H.H. Holmes,
Right.
like all that nonsense.
Oh God, H.H. Holmes, that was something completely different.
Yeah, he's out there, man.
Oh God, the Murder Hotel.
Yeah, that's what money and craziness gets you.
Yeah, that's the amount of work that it has to take to be that level of evil. It's almost impressive.
No, it's definitely
terrifying, but impressive.
It's definitely impressive. It's just not something we should emulate. But that's what
well,
tells
that
me.
Level of dedication, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. That's what tells me I can never be a serial killer, is because I'd get caught on the first crime scene for sure. Because I don't want to clean now. I'm certainly not going to want to clean blood. I'm like, I'm going to leave something behind. I'm like, dude, whatever. He's dead. Nobody's going to find it. And they're going to find it immediately. They're like, well, Brandon did it. I'm like, great. That was really lazy of me to get caught. I'll get caught just because I'm pure lazy. That's all.
Oh God. You know, I shed hair, and I don't have the effort to go clean that up if I'm be leaving a crime scene. So, and I'm definitely not wearing a hairnet.
I mean, you could be the hairnet killer. That I'm into it. You have to have a name, and if you wear a hairnet, you got your name. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to send any letters to the police and stuff like that, because that's the other thing too, man. Is if you don't kill the same people like all the time, they don't even know you're a serial. They don't even know you exist. Like the only way that they track serials and crimes in general is they see the same MO or whatever going on. If you're just killing randomly, they're never gonna find you. Like, they may find you for one murder, but they're not gonna go, oh yeah. Did you kill all these other 30 people around the country in various ways of various races, sexes, and all this stuff? And you're like, oh yeah, that was me too.
And at that point, who's admitting to it?
Well, I mean, and so that's the other thing, right? Serial killers a lot of times want recognition for what they do. So at some point, that's why a lot of them do the stuff they do. That's how they end up getting caught, because they start playing that game of like, nobody's seeing their work. Right. And so they start sending letters to mock them and stuff like that, you know, or they're insane. Like, what was his name? Summer of Sam guy. Crap. I don't remember his name, but the guy who was going around shooting like couples or with his pistol and stuff like that. And he said his neighbor's dog was Satan and was telling him to do it or something like that. Like, the dude was just had tons of mental health problems. So I think that's the only situations, again, where you're getting caught is either, like I said, you have a mental health issue that is already going to make you devolve further until you can't hide anymore, or you want recognition for what you're doing and you start sending letters and mocking the cops and stuff like that. And then why? They don't even know you exist. Leave it alone. Why am I giving advice to serial killers right now? This is weird.
I don't know.
Really weird place here.
Let's really hope that the serial killers that listen to podcasts don't listen to this one.
Hey, I just want to know that I'm giving good advice. You know what I mean? What if, because, you know, like, people, the internet's great for like writing or yelling at you and saying you're doing things wrong. So what if that's like the note I get? The serial killer now is pissed at me. He's like, that is not how we do it. How dare you talk about us?
You get a 1-star review on iTunes.
Yeah. I'm getting
this guy has
canceled.
no idea what being a serial killer is like.
I'm getting canceled by the serial killer community. Like, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Don't let him talk about us. This is offensive. It's ridiculous.
Oh.
I kind of hope that happens. I'll wear that badge proudly until one of them murders me. Obviously, that's bad. But I mean, whatever.
Well, hey, especially if you getting canceled by the serial killer community makes you go viral, then if one of them kills you, that just makes your podcast go more viral.
Yeah, that would be a really weird place to be in, because, like, wait, first of all, there's a serial killer community? We thought these were just a bunch of random, you know, lone wolf actors and everything like that, or bad actors. But, like, no, there's a community that, like, have like their version of Parler or something like that, and they're all out there trading tips and pictures and stuff like that. Like, that has to be a thing, right? Like, every other heinous community, white supremacy, pedophiles, like, they all have a community. Serial killers have to have something like that, right? There has to be on the dark web. I don't know.
All right, I'm going to take a guess here. I'll bet you it's called Ripper, RIPR, because every tech company has to take out some vowels.
Yeah, or iRipper, you know, they just add the I in front of it. And so, yeah, it's freaking great. Now I want to look into this. I want to like, but then if I start researching it, I'm going to pop up on FBI websites and or whatever, and I don't need that in my life either. So I'm going to get arrested for being curious, which happens. It's good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Either that or Google advertising is just going to start sending you some really weird messages.
Hey, I'm okay with that part. So like
plastic sheeting.
Whenever I'm on YouTube, I get these random ads sometimes. And so my girlfriend will be sitting here and I try to point them out to her. And she's like, what the hell have you been looking at? And you're like, single grannies in your area. I'm like, what? Like, why is that the thing that is popping up? Like, what did I search? Did I look at crock pots for too long? And they're like, you want this. I'm like, what is going on? I don't understand. That's seriously a thing that's popped up on the side, like of like different things or whatever. Like it's not as like sexual as that or whatever. It's like just more dating and everything like that. But I'm like, why do they think that I want this? Like, what in my algorithm that I'm Googling that says this guy likes this, he wants this?
Oh yeah, no, I've gotten that too. Like you'll end up with the weird eHarmony ad, or Victoria's Secret will throw you a targeted ad.
I have to say,
what I'm doing that makes it throw me those ads.
I have to say that I think it's Match.com. Match.com and Geico have two of my favorite commercial series going. So the Match.com commercials where they're like, I'm trying to think of one of them. They're just terrible puns about whatever the people are doing. They're like, they'll shoot a basketball, whatever. Like, I love basketball, but I'm playing games with my relationship. I'm like, fuck, I love those commercials. Oh. They're so bad. I love them. But it makes me mad because there's obvious, like, I don't know if it's obvious sexism or whatever it is, but only the dudes are doing the puns. Like one girl will do a pun and the rest of them are just like, oh, I want to find a nice guy. Like, no, I want puns. I want them all to be terrible puns about whatever you're doing. This is the best commercial ever.
I think the biggest mistake was calling them dad jokes. You got to find something gender neutral, because I like when women make puns too.
Look, puns, they say like puns are like the lowest form of comedy. I disagree. There's nothing more satisfying to me to getting a groan than a laugh. If I can get a groan, oh, I feel accomplished. I want the joke to be so stupid / funny that you can't avoid making a guttural noise. You're just like, I'm like, I love it. That's way better to me than a laugh. I'm like, yes, because I've infected your mind with it and you can't fight it off. You're like, I hate it so much.
Oh, God.
So the other commercials I was talking about too is like, because the Match ones are just impeccable. Those are beautiful. Who was ever writing those? Keep those going. They're awful, and I love it. And then the other one is the Geico, where you're turning into your parents. And the dude's like trying to coach people who are like turning into their parents or whatever. So like they'll go to Home Depot or something like that. He's like, hey, this is the grout brush you want. And he's like, did he ask you for your help? He's like, no, he didn't. Love those commercials. They're great.
I don't think I've seen the Geico ones.
Oh man, I'll send you a clip after we get done here because they're incredible. They're absolutely great, and I love them. And I can't wait to start acting that way. As soon as I go buy a property, I'm gonna be like, or excuse me, buy a house. I'm going to turn into one of those just obnoxiously suburban middle class people, just for no reason, only to do it because it's gonna be funny to me.
Oh, I'm so ready for it.
Yeah,
I'm already stocking up on those phone belt clips and socks and sandals. I've already got like 4 pairs of Crocs.
Oh man, I'm telling you, I'm tucking your shirt in all the time, like button, and I wear a button up when I'm going anywhere. I don't wear t-shirts anymore, no non-collared shirts. It's all button up all day. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that life.
Button up shirt tucked into cargo pants or cargo shorts.
Absolutely. And you always have something
sandals.
You always have something heavy and clanky in that right cargo short. So it's like whatever, or it's gonna be cargo pant, and whatever you walk around, it's like moving around and sloshing it, and then people are like, what the hell is in there? It's so loud.
I'm gonna take out like $30 in quarters, and that's just gonna be a permanent fixture in all my cargo shorts.
Hey, you never know when you're gonna need change. It's just smart. That's just practical. That's what that is. Oh God.
I'm pretty sure that's all being a dad is.
But that's what I want to be, a dad without having kids. That's my dream,
right?
Is to be like that level of just unsexualized, just completely terrible human being that nobody really wants around, but everybody kind of respects at the same time. But I don't want to have kids. Like, I just want to be a dad. I want to be dad jokes. I want to be like flipping burgers or whatever, just telling stuff that nobody cares about and like perfecting my technique on really, really menial tasks. Like, that's what I want.
Well, yeah. And if you're not flipping burgers, then you're telling another dad how to flip burgers.
Oh yeah. To criticize another man's cooking is the epitome of achievement. That is great. I just want to come over to your house and I was like, what is that? You got a ribeye? You know, you got to cross grill it, right? You want to get those cross marks. You have to. I'm look at your house. You do it the way you want to do it, right? I'm just trying to tell you.
You gonna have the heat turned up that high? I don't know if I do that.
Yeah. What are you trying to cook that? You trying to cook that well done? No, medium. No. Yeah, that is the epitome of living to me, is just being a complete drain on another human being in a way that you're just like, I don't want you here, and I'm never inviting you to anything again. But our wives at that point are friends, so they can't get rid of me. I'm always coming back because it plays out one of two ways. Yeah. I either get to be that level of annoying, or they stop inviting me to shit, and I don't want to go anyways. So it's all good to me.
Yeah. Well, and the part I'm looking forward to more than anything is, since you like Family Guy, you'll get this. How every guy, when he goes out in public, is always hiding at least 10 pounds of weight. I can't wait to just let it all go.
Absolutely. I mean, but you also have to wear shirts that are for like way too small, but they're also like a shirt you got for free. You did some walk for cancer like back in 2002, and that shirt is faded and it's just but you wear it to like out to places. Let me say this. Here in Florida, that wouldn't be anything though. That just happens everywhere here in Florida. So I have to move for this to take place, but still, you could do it.
I'm way ahead of you. I mean, about half my wardrobe came out of t-shirt cannons. So
I've never caught a t-shirt from a t-shirt cannon. They look at me and they're like, no, you don't deserve this. And they shoot. Like I feel like they look right at me and they're like right here and then just go, no.
I'm convinced they just bought one size of shirt and they're exclusively shooting it out in people's directions that they think will fit into it.
They're like just body shaming the crowd, like, no, fatties.
We only bought mediums. You don't get one.
Yeah, you're like, that'd be great, because they just shoot it just to watch you shamefully try to hold it up in front of your body. I'm like, yeah, give it back. Oh my God. That would be me though. They would do that. They'd shoot it. Like I'd go to put it in like, yeah, you're not wearing it. Like, no, I'm wearing this. This is a belly shirt, but it's going on. Oh man. So how are you planning to pivot now that we've just gone off way too many tangents and talked about nothing for like 30 minutes? How are you planning to pivot? Like I said, when the world opens back up, do you have anything like that you've been building like digitally or think that you're hoping to carry over into when the clubs start going back to a more normal schedule?
I'm sorry, could you ask that one more time? I got a little static.
Yeah, no problem. I was saying basically, like, do you have something that you've been working on like digitally or something that you can bring with you to the new going back to clubs and all that type of stuff? So like, do you have like a following, or are you trying to turn the podcast into like, hey, if you like these podcasts, come check out Balake over here at this one place? You did it. I had to like slip one in. I was never going to do it, but you brought it up, so it's happening. So anyways, but no, seriously, like, is that something that you've been trying to work on over the year? Because like I know when you said you found something you really enjoyed, that you just haven't been doing anything with it. So I'm just interested in what you've been working on in the pandemic, kind
of. Yeah, so I do virtual shows. There are a surprising amount of Zoom comedy stuff, like open mics, showcases, even just every now and again there's these random things where it'll just be a Zoom meeting with a handful of comedians just playing like Quiplash or some other jackpot game. And so I have been doing that. I'll admit, not as much as I want to be doing it. I've been spending a lot of time writing, so I'm hoping to come back and hit the stages with a lot of new material. And then, yeah, I'm doing my podcast. I'm trying to get out there and get on other people's shows and really start directing people back to like my social media. And so hopefully then when stages open back up, I've got enough people, I can just say where I'm going to be and people show up.
So, I mean, what is your process like for writing and then going to work out something on stage? Do you write your joke like a framework of it and then just work out the words on stage? Or you one of those people who like writes every single word, and then when you get on stage, maybe you change something afterwards, you're like, that word didn't land right, I need to change the system? Like how structured, I guess, is your process?
So, well, anytime I think of something funny, I write it down. Um, and then just as I find time, I will go back through all of my chicken scratch notes, and whatever I'm actually able to read, I go and I try to flesh it out, and I sort of build this outline of it, and I'll start riffing with friends, or even just I do a lot of rehearsing, either in the mirror or when I'm in my car driving. Anybody who pulls up next to me at a stoplight probably thinks I'm an insane person.
Which we've covered on this call, and you are. So
yeah. And then I do write it out word for word, but I don't read it back word for word. I always kind of make a lot of those, or I follow my basic structure points and then kind of come up with what I'm going to say on the fly. So I don't really know why I write it all out word for word, but I do think it helps me time it out, I guess, because a lot of the sets I do are 5 minutes, and so I have to keep it in that time window. And as we've already seen today, it's really easy to get me off on a tangent.
No, I love tangents. Tangents are 90% of conversations to me. Like, why am I staying focused? Let's have some fun here. Let's move around.
I'm gonna sound like a huge nerd here, but where's the love for sines and cosines?
Well, you did sound like a huge nerd, and that'll end this. Well, thank you for coming on. No.
Hey, you laughed at it. So what does that make you?
Oh, I'm an idiot. You shouldn't. I'm anybody's target audience. I enjoy just about everything. One of my favorite things is being in a comedy club and thinking that I know what the guy's talking about to the level like it's a super in-depth joke, and everybody else is quiet, and I go, ah, and I just get like one laugh or whatever. And it's like, what the fuck? I like being that guy. And then everybody's looking at me like, what? Did he get something, or is he just weird? And like, both. It's both.
Well, if once all this is over, I'm ever performing in Florida, I'll know when you're coming to my show.
That's one of the things. I've only been here in Miami for probably I don't know, 18 months or something like that. I moved in the summer of 2019. And so I haven't gotten to go to a comedy show here, but I've heard Miami comedy shows are weird. Like that people don't behave appropriately at them. Like let's be clear. People behave weird at comedy shows in general. It's kind of like an accepted part of comedy for whatever reason. But I mean, like, people will just stand like the entire show instead of like sitting down at their table, or like they just do really weird things. Coincidentally, Miami is one of the cocaine capitals of the U.S. Not for distribution, but for use. But so I mean, I've heard that from comedians talk about doing a show in Miami. But I'm kind of I don't know if I really want to go. Like, oh, you know what? Come to think of it, we did go to one show, but it was a really weird one. It was science mixed with comedy. So that already is a different crowd. So they had like neuroscientists and stuff like that, whatever. They'd come up and they'd tell something very dry and very like science driven, and then it'd have like a poop and dick joke comedy like right after it or whatever. So it was a really cool event, but
beautiful mix.
Yeah. So that, I don't think that's a good gauge for what kind of Miami crowds you go. Like if I go see, I don't know, Kevin Hart or something like that, I imagine it's going to be a different crowd.
I'd at least hope so.
I hope not, because if I'm there should be other people. Like, I can't be that unique. There's other people like me. But oh man, that just reminded me, and this is a really weird thing to remember. But at that show, there was a neuroscientist who was talking about incest. Like, she was like breaking down why we're disgusted by incest and like all this stuff, whatever. And her son was in the crowd. So I was like, oh. Like, it's always fun to hear Ma talk about incest. Like, this is
leave it to Florida.
Oh, it was great. But again, she's like a PhD, she's like a doctor. So like, this is one of the things she studies. But I just thought that was hilarious. Like, why would you bring your son to this? Like, why do you want to talk about this with your, like, it's just weird. It's like if she brought her brother or something, you're like, oh, why are you really studying this?
God, that blows me away that there's somebody with a PhD who just studies incest.
Well, I'm making light of it. I think what more she studies is our taboos and things like that. And so incest was just the one she brought out because for not a big crowd, but for a crowd, it's going to be the one that people remember. And she's right, because I'm still talking about it like 15 months later, because that was nuts. So I think that's the way to do it.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, I think that's so. What I'm telling you is go ahead and put some incest jokes in your act, and you'll be good to go. That's the way to break through. And then 15 months later, I'll remember you word for word. So you mentioned
Well, I did
before.
grow up on a ranch, and I was the redneck in my friend group, so I've got a whole bunch of them I can repurpose.
Wait. You're repurposing stories or jokes? Because those are two different things.
No,
this
jokes.
is not turning into a therapy session. I am not licensed for that.
No. God, you're just as bad as they are.
You said you grew up on a ranch. There's Neverland Ranch joke right there. Like that's the first thing. And then it wasn't like just for your word choice. It's like, wait. He's like, yeah, I grew up on a ranch. So I got a lot of incest stories. I'm like, what?
No.
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing. You didn't actually say those words. I heard what I heard. That's great.
Brings me to another point, though. I'm blown away that Farmers Only has never done the targeted ads at me.
Oh, so
of all the random dating site ads,
Farmers Only is another one of those hyper niche dating sites. And I'm like, come on, man, lean into it. Lean into your virality that people are like, this is insane. Lean into that with the commercials. Because if you're a farmer, you already know about Farmers Only. And if you don't, then you need it to go viral to hear about it in some other way. Because they'll start out laughing. But then if you're actually a farmer, you're like, wait, well, I mean, I would like somebody who understands I got to get up and, feed the chickens and do like all this stuff. But if that'd be really nice in a relationship, maybe let me check it out.
I'm convinced that Farmers Only is entirely made up of people who are into farmers. And there's no actual farmers on it.
But is that like a thing? That's I don't know. That just seems like, how specific are your tastes? You're like, I like a dude who plows the field from like 5 to 5:30 a.m. Or like, I don't know what farmers do, but like, that's a very specific taste, I feel like.
Well, it means they're good at plowing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I knew when I said that, like that's just softballed it up there. There's no way that's not getting knocked out of here. But it's so like
a farmer, I picked the low-hanging fruit.
I don't think that's a farmer. That's somebody who works for the farmer. But so that's a thing I think is interesting though. Are we gonna get like a 50 Shades of Grey like farmer version? You know what I mean? Well, I guess Harlequin romance novels probably already have that. Like it always seems like those dudes are doing some job with their hands or whatever. So they had to do a farmer at some point, right?
Oh, 100%. I'm pretty sure there are a bunch of romance novels about like ranchers and farmers and cowboys. I mean,
that sounds incredibly boring to
me. I mean, I know there was a certain romance movie that came out about cowboys, but
yeah, but that's cowboys. Like cowboys, I get. I can see cowboys, but farming, like again, and I want to be clear about this. Farmers are one of the backbones of America. America has many backbones.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I enjoy your work. Do not take what I'm saying to be dissing you by any means. I think farming is a respectable profession, and women should be lucky, or men for that matter, because there's women farmers as well, should be lucky to date somebody who gives so much to America. I'm just saying it's weird to want a farmer like that. Like me, I work in supply chain. Who's out here saying, I want to date a dude in supply chain? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. Well, I mean, apparently there's one. She's in the other room right now. So,
hey, everybody has their tastes, right?
Yeah, she has terrible taste. Oh, man. So you were mentioning before that you wanted to bring more people to your social media and stuff like that. So I feel like this is a perfect time for you to go ahead and plug it. Like what's your social media platform of choice that people can find you on, and if they want to interact with you some more?
I definitely use Twitter the most. You can follow me at Blake Sweet Comic. We do also have social media profiles on all the major platforms for our podcast, which I feel like while I'm plugging, I should plug that too.
Absolutely.
So it's called Fat Tango Presents.
And it is available Tango, like FAT?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and it is available wherever you find podcasts. We actually have a sort of companion podcast that comes out along with it called Four to Tango as well. And that's just the four of us who make the podcast, do a little talk show, a little behind the scenes. And we make a lot of dick and fart jokes that didn't make it into our sketches.
Important. You gotta give them a full repertoire.
Oh, absolutely. And then we are on Instagram's our main platform for that. It's at Fat Tango Productions.
So I'll make sure that I drop links to all this in the notes and everything like that, because I want to make sure that people are able to come find you, if only to harass you for the Balake thing that you made happen. So I want that to be.
Well, I figured I'll get out in front of it. At least this way I look like I started the joke instead of I'm the butt of it.
I want us to, so here's what I want to have happen. It's going to start off like I'm being rude, but don't take it that way. It's just a setup for the joke. I want us to never talk again after this conversation, right? And then like, when you're going to you die from whatever natural causes thing you die from, and I've just followed you my entire life just to put like a hyphen in your first name on your tombstone. So instead of it being just Blake, like it's Balake. So it's just like that's the level of petty I'm trying to be. Is like, this is going to be a long-term plan, and then I got to pay off the guy who's doing the gravestones just to land this punchline that nobody's going to remember, because this is good. I assume you're going to live for like another 40, 50 years or something like that.
I hope so.
Yeah. And so nobody's like, Balake, what is it? What even is that? I'm like, and then I die from laughter. That's the way.
All right. Well, now that you've put it out there, if you don't do that when I die, I'm going to come haunt you.
I mean, that's a win-win, right? Because now I've got a ghost. I can make money off that. I'm cool with that too. But I also assume I'm older than you. So that's, man, you got to stop eating cheeseburgers, dude.
But I like cheeseburgers.
Yeah, and that's why you're dead and hunting me. This is how you get there. This is your wake-up call. I'm the ghost of Christmas present. I don't know, one of them. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. So. Awesome. Anyways, man, thanks so much for coming on here and joining me. I'm definitely, like I said, I'm going to drop all the links to your podcast and to anything that you do. Like, so if you have any virtual shows coming up, make sure you send me a link, because by the time this comes out, you might be doing another one and something like that. So I definitely want to try to support, and I want to watch too, because I think it's very interesting. You and I have sat here and we've joked back and forth and talked and everything, but I know whenever you talk to somebody who is a comedian or just does comedy, even if it's just a hobby, their stage presence and who they are and like person-to-person conversation are always so different. So I always love to see that transition and how different you are on stage. I'm very interested in that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'll definitely send you some links as I do more shows.
That'd be great, man.
And hopefully I'm funny on stage too.
What do you mean too? You weren't funny here.
Dick.
God, yes, that felt good. That felt good. This was worth it.
He was softball this time.
I told you the way I show affection is by talking shit. So
hey, as far as I can tell, if I throw one right down the middle, you're gonna knock it out of the park. So
yeah, or I'm gonna lean. I'll stretch for him too. I will reach hard for something. You're like, dude, no, it wasn't worth the effort. I'm like, I don't care. I'm happy with my choices. So.
You at least didn't bunt it.
Exactly. So, all right, man. Thanks again. Like I said, and we'll have to do this again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Take care.
See ya.
Thanks for checking out Starting Nowhere. Make sure you follow us on Facebook so you can comment on this and other episodes of Starting Nowhere.